I've already welcomed everyone to TimeBolt Office Hours, even though we weren't recording as Quinton put out, but we're here to check your workflows and generally just make sure that you get the most out of TimeBolt on these weekly live office hours. And I figured today we could talk about our Umcheck workflow and what are the best practices to make sure that that's working, and basically be able to explain why sometimes you get random ums and ahs that are left that are identified, but left in when you actually cut that out. I'd also like to take this moment for a commercial break with the new Umcheck shirts, but it was kind of a failure in strategy because this is see-through and you do not want to give see-through white shirts to girls. Okay.
Yeah. Especially in the summer.
This is actually going back to the shop. I was like, man, I got like 8 of them sitting over there, but they've been a pretty big hit. Umcheck shirts. I hang out with more extra smalls than I thought. However that sounds on camera. We had a conversation with Paul Murphy yesterday, our leading affiliate, and showed him the new watchable technology, which is with sharing a video link and just kind of getting that out. What I've been doing is reaching out directly to our affiliates, just one-on-one, to be able to catch up with them, show them what's new in TimeBolt, because a lot has changed. And I figured, heck, why not? I can just go ahead and show this real quick. Very soon in 5.2.4 or anything above 5.2.4, you're going to have the ability to share a video link. And with this new screen recorder option, that over here, I really like how you can tell that I don't live in that compound right now. I really like how quick and easy this is to move around. Now, Quinton, I had a question from Stockton Walbeck, who love this technology, and he was like, is there any way that it comes in a circle? And I got to thinking, the reason we don't need 2 modes and you don't have to check out over here like, hey, do I want to do full screen or do I want
what do you mean when you say it comes in a circle?
How there are other capture tools.
Oh yeah, the camera thing. Oh, okay.
This is kind of my rebuttal to that, is that, okay, well, that would just be another mode that we need to put over here. And what's nice about TimeBolt is you could basically stop, like, because if you have a circle, how are you going to do full screen?
Yeah, we'll have to figure that out, but we can work on it. It's a button that they press, like the full screen button. Like if you hover over the camera, there's a button, right? So it could be like a button which changes shape, maybe. I don't know. It will require some work, but kind of could be done.
And I'm not saying that this is a priority right now. There's just kind of a design aesthetic. The only way that I could see that working, what I like about TimeBolt is you don't have to come over here and say, I want to do full screen. I want to do just the screen.
I don't prefer a circle because it limits some sort of, it's not the, I don't know. I like the square because it gives you like good presence in this on the screen.
I completely
Circle's
agree.
Possible. Yeah.
So you can quit talk, with TimeBolt, you can move this around, and I love how you can get it down to the size of a thumbnail.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
I have to tell you this. The reason we don't have a circle is because I did test the circle, but when I was testing the circle, it wasn't going back into full screen because there was an issue with the full screen. The full screen wasn't coming up properly, which is the full screen came up like an oval like this over the whole thing. So that's why we don't have a circle right now. Square just makes sense because then you can do full screen and come out of full screen.
Yeah, I like this, Quincy. I don't need a circle. Because this is the thing, I like being able to talk, and if I wanted to break into like a solo, I just stop talking like that and then restart talking. So you're just in TimeBolt, because it cuts out the dead air, you're just going to see me go from a small thumbnail to a big one, and I don't have to do anything additional over here, and that limits your chances of like error or accidentally hitting stop recording or something like that. The big reason I think that people aren't making video today is you've got 150 megabit size file for a 3.5 minute video that you want to send somebody that's maybe like to a friend or a work colleague, 1 or 2 people. In 2016, Loom comes along, right? People are like, well, send a Loom. But now with attention spans completely dwindling, they're fast to send in a link, but it sucks to watch on the other end. So it's not something that you really want to do to a friend. So that's why people are breaking out and annotating screenshots and writing a 5-paragraph email. People have to also watch this content. For the first time ever, you're able to send a watchable video with TimeBolt faster and in less time than it takes to actually capture live. We have unlocked, we believe, the on-ramp, like why people don't make video, why people hate the sound of their own voice, and we can fix that with TimeBolt. It's as simple as this. You hit stop recording, save my video, I can call it anything, doesn't really matter. What do you think? We got about 2.5 minutes worth of...
Yeah, about 2.5 minutes, yeah.
That thing's rendering. One of the things that I noticed is that a lot of videos that I watch from professional people that do content and stuff, some of their videos don't exceed anywhere between 6 to 8 minutes because of what you were saying, Doug, in regards to people's attention span. So with this tool here, we got the ability, like I've always told you, we have the ability now to do everything in one tool, so we don't have to use any other tools for that.
What happens is that TimeBolt automatically pushes. It took about 30 seconds. TimeBolt automatically pushes this video. The total time was, it was almost, what, 5 minutes, a little over 5 minutes long that we were talking.
Yeah, that's pretty aggressive.
What happens is you go here, I haven't done anything except just hit stop recording. Okay, this is my first click, start audio transcription. This is remove 85% of the stuff that makes you hate the sound of your own voice, which is the dead air, obviously. And then with those to our transcriptions, you pay for it. We can talk about why those cost money. I think we've kind of covered that. So this will usually take, again, this is about a 5-minute video. This is going to take, all in all, like all the automations to also remove the filler words. We're talking about 3 minutes of time. Okay. 3 minutes of total time. That's fast right there. You see how fast that is? That's fast. And what you're going to know here, all you're going to do is go split timeline, turn off the words. You can now go through, and what I would do is I put this at 1.5x. Okay. And then I go through and I use 2 keys to basically shape up a short form video like this, B and O. Okay. That's all you need. So as I'm going through, and I didn't want to keep that previous thing that I just hit, hit the B key for back cut. And as you can see, this turned from green to red. Or if I don't like the scene that I'm currently on, I hit O and shut that one off and it skips to the next scene. Of course, if you want to accentuate something, you can punch in, punch out. And you can even fast forward silences if like what is happening in the middle with mouse clicks matters. Okay. I don't want to do that right now. All I do, because if I'm sending this to Quinston, I go ahead and put turbo mode on everything, especially like any videos that you just make with capture. And I usually put on 1.4 for faster talking to Quinston. There was somebody I really didn't know, 1.125, right? And I just hit render and create a public link. Going to upload to the public server. And just like that, I just copy and paste this. If I can also just make this a video, an actual file. But this uploads direct to a public website that, by the way, has our information on it. So other people can be just as courteous and resend you a video that also isn't horrible to watch. So that's our watchable. I've been using the capture tool to send. I've had to develop workflow pages for the website, and we're working with multiple designers. And then so once you get design back and you've got 8 different sections, I don't have to like screenshot. I'll be able to give my feedback in a 5-minute video, and I'm able to basically cut myself out and make this thing 2.5 minutes, 2 minutes long, and I'm able to visually describe something. And this is what I'd like to talk about Umcheck. I am working on what is the best master list. It is easy if you just put ums and ahs inside this, that TimeBolt will find them and skip them, because it's not that it doesn't identify them here or that they're written in the transcript, but our token word levels, they don't have enough accuracy in the cuts to be able to get these smaller ums and ahs. So what is not interesting about ums and ahs is that they're typically followed by some other filler word, so, and so. So if I say the word Umcheck, it's almost always cutting out the in the Umcheck. But if I just said it's very possible that the word tokens are not going to be as accurate. And that's what these other editors, it's why there's so many issues and accuracy issues with cutting out with transcription-based editors. So what we've done is basically have a filler list that is joining words. And when you join these words, and so, like so, they almost always have some other word associated with it. How many times I said that? I mean, this is just a 5-minute video. Look how many times you say, and so. This is the most accurate way to cut your Umcheck. So go through your Umcheck list and look for any additional words and see if you use some other filler word along with the and make sure you combine those word choices, and you'll have your own unique word tick choices. Quinston, I'm going to send you an updated list. I've got all these combinations that just make this so much more accurate. I was talking with
Doug, looking at your screen there, I noticed that you have one of my filler words. When I'm talking to somebody real good and I know the flow of everything, and all of a sudden, so I noticed that you had that on there. So that's a good catch for me, because I have a tendency of doing that as well.
Yes, it's very natural to do in a two-way conversation like this, but just for the guys sitting at home, when you cut that out and it just starts a new sentence, it sounds so much more smooth. And
you don't miss it at all.
No, not at all. So Quinston, one of the questions that we always get about transcriptions, and what Paul Murphy said, there are people on the precipice of just like, why would you even use any other editor other than TimeBolt? Okay. And I've talked with Raphael. I've had 4 meetings with all of our top affiliates, right? And got some good learning in and stuff and what people are caring about. My question is this: people ask about Whisper all the time, like, oh, why can't we use Whisper transcriptions? And I have this conversation about the word tokens, how they're not accurate. And I think that's what CapCut technology. So my question is, people like to edit in 2 different ways, it seems like, especially the older guys, like they don't like looking at waveforms as much, or there's like a difference in their mind between scripted and unscripted content, because they make a lot of unscripted video. You try and put an unscripted Zoom call or just unscripted anything inside a text-based editor that's like looking for bad takes, it just falls apart very quickly. There's no way for it to make sense of it. It's looking for repetitive patterns. My question is, we had talked about the ability to put a box over here that also gives you a visual reference cue as you're going through, that you could also read the words coming up, where I pitched this idea past these guys and they loved it. So imagine you're going through and you're watching this and you're reading the words on the left-hand side. You're able to see that you're going about to say the same sentence coming up 2 or 3 times, right? But what happens is that you're able to just go, oh, right, and cut all the way out to the last take. Obviously, we would need not the ability to like hover over a word and cut it out that way, but that would require or a similar technology. My question would be this, is that could we tap into a free transcription service, because it's not using word tokens to delete, or we're not using word tokens to identify where like a specific word, but instead it's a visual reference cue? Would it be possible that we someday look at using a free transcription tool for everyone, that's something like at the front where you drop your file in, you could just have a button that says text-based transcriptions? You wouldn't be able to use Umcheck, would require its own, like it would supersede. If you run Umcheck, it supersedes all that shit on the left.
Yeah.
But you would still have, like on a sentence level, the ability to visually see where you're at.
So no interaction, just like visual reference.
Yes, whatever happens in the middle of the screen. But like you've got your words that come down and there's no interaction. It's just it ties between where you're at here and what is shown here, so that you can read ahead, look behind.
And that could be possible.
This is kind of what I talked about last week, where if we had a file of the text dump of the transcript of the audio file that we had that we could look at later on. But Doug, I like your idea about having it right on top of the screen so we can monitor it at the same time.
Wizard says it's possible. It's fucking possible. I don't know how so much the ability. I think with that we become people will say there's no reason to use.
But my question is like interact with it, right? It's not interactable. So what is the benefit that, let's say you have this timeline, right? This timeline goes from about 27 seconds to 55 seconds right now, right? The whole timeline in front of you right now. The width of it is like from 27 seconds to about 51 seconds, right? So are you saying that the amount of words in this particular timeline that's visible right now is going to be shown on the side?
Yes. So it's not going to be like super small print or anything, but we would have to find what's that sweet spot as far as.
No, what I'm looking for is just like, what's the outcome of that particular feature? Like, it can be built, but like to make it better, it's always important to optimize it for the outcome that the customer is looking for. So what is that outcome? Is it like my playhead is here, so I want to know which words are near my playhead? Or is it like a whole timeline thing that, okay, I'm on this portion of my timeline, so the words in the view should reflect the words in the timeline? So, because depending on either of these scenarios, the words will change significantly, because your playhead could be somewhere completely different and your visible timeline is somewhere different. That would make it a difference. So are you saying that, okay, now you're scrolling, so as you're scrolling, the words will also scroll? Or is it that when you click on the playhead position will determine which words are being shown?
Playhead position would determine, at least what I'm thinking. Okay, that's a great question. Playhead position would determine which words are like when you click on it, right? Like not so much
play it, right? When you're playing the file, when you play it, the playhead moves, right? The playhead is the thing that moves back and forth when you're playing it. So if we select the playhead as the point of reference, then the words will basically revolve based on how fast the playhead is moving.
Yes, I think that the words, the sentence, the words, I don't know like how things are delineated, but we ideally,
if you think about that, we don't even technically need it to be on the side. It could just be like a subtitle under the video or over the video. So it could be like a marquee bar, like a bar over the video, which just like scrolls through the words. Instead of it being horizontal on the side, taking up space on either side, it could be above the video itself. So if it's above the video, it'll be just like a scroll bar. All those so it could be like a ticker bar. So as you're moving through playing the video, the ticker bar just goes through the words.
I know, I love tickers. Okay, I like that's the most simple form of captioning I've ever seen, like on Fox News or whatever news channel you're into, right? Like just having that scroll bar that's like, I love tickers. The problem is what they're looking for, if we could solve for this problem, is like being able, they see ahead. So if you can imagine a box,
see ahead, okay.
Like that's the point of this, is that
okay,
as you're going through, they literally do 4 or 5 takes, but they don't remember how many takes they actually did, right? So the back cut, like you would literally be able to use, you'd be able to see that, okay, I'm starting the sentence I'm starting the sentence over again. Oh, and I'm starting the sentence, and you're maybe able to see 3 steps ahead that you're starting the sentence over again 3 or 4 times. So you can just hit right, and then you're up to the last, and that's what would save that extra.
Okay, that makes sense.
So I don't know.
Then it can't be a ticker bar because the ticker bar will be reduced with width. We'll figure it out. It needs to be like you're saying forward, but it also has to be backward, right? Because you also need to have context of what's happening. So technically, it should just be in the middle of like
100%.
So you're in the middle, and then there's words above, there's words at the bottom, and you're just in the middle, so that you have context about what happened previously in the video and what happened next in the video.
100%. And that's exactly it. You got to have context ahead of time and back time. I don't have any concept about how to do that. Or the other question about
it won't be accurate, though. That's the thing, because it could be accurate to like a certain extent, but it's not going to be like it's going to be very fuzzy because it's offline, right?
And there's the question. This you can't. What we're saying is that's not like if you have unscripted video or scripted video. This is a great way to use a text editor, and it's not unscripted. It would be interesting to understand again with scripted, like it works with CapCut. When we send up that original file to get it transcribed, when you cut out the dead air in it, does that help? Like,
we can't use that.
Do we?
We can't use that. We have to send the whole file. We can't send half of
the whole file because it's done at the upload.
Yeah, because if you have a transcription of just the green parts, then if you make any changes, then you're pretty stuck, right? Because you've already committed to those green parts, so you can't make changes now. So it's always better to send up the whole file.
And then, so what happens when you remove like if you got 3 takes and you remove the first 2 or 3 takes? What happens in the transcript itself? Is there anything in the transcript now that like
I don't understand what do you mean by that?
Like, is it still going to show the words even if they're removed? You know what I'm saying? Like if you got to set a sentence 3 times in a row and then you hit the first 2, you're going to say, you remove them. When you look back up in that transcript, now that those sentences are gone.
No, they're going to be there. They're not going to go away.
They're not going to go. There's no way to.
That's what I said, right? It's going to be very inaccurate, because it doesn't really, the OpenAI Whisper transcription doesn't really have second level accuracy. It's accurate to like maybe like 5 seconds, 4 seconds, something like that. It's very fuzzy. It's not as accurate as the AWS transcript where you get the whole word level encoding, second level encoding where every word is, millisecond level. One word could start at 1.3 seconds. The other word could end at 1.7 seconds. So very accurate, even at the ends. But this wouldn't be very accurate at all. Like it'll be very fuzzy. So you could like have a region that's green, like it could be green, like or red. You can color them red or green, but I wouldn't say it would be very accurate. It could have like overlap and mistakes.
Yeah, hold on. How much of that is within acceptable norms? So I think the whole purpose is just the visual waypoint, right? That's
the visual waypoint, exactly.
Just a visual waypoint. If it's accurate enough to still provide a visual waypoint, you let the accuracy in the cuts happens in TimeBolt, right? That's what happens. Michael, how you doing?
Hey, doing pretty good, man. I was in the weight room, but I don't think you.
I'm sorry. I can't believe I missed that. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, I missed you in the weight room there. We were just talking about Michael's a new customer of ours. You just got a lifetime. We're actually getting ready to do away with those lifetime memberships. So great to have you on board. We were just talking about Umcheck, and you had some questions regarding Screenflow, right? Am I remembering properly?
In my workflow, I tend to do a lot of screen recordings for a lot of my tutorials for my courses and things of that. At times where a lot of filler content that I need to just get out of there, I thought that maybe there was option for Screenflow, but I think you had recommended maybe another solution.
I personally haven't used Screenflow.
They don't have XML or anything like that.
Yeah, they don't have XML imports or EDL, something like that.
What are you doing in Screenflow? Can you give us an example of like the content and like what you're editing with?
So with Screenflow, typically what I do is kind of help people learn a particular software. It's called LearnDash, and sometimes other software and applications. So typically what Screenflow allows me to do, kind of like Camtasia, I saw you guys advertise for, have XML. It's essentially the Apple only version of Camtasia, where I can record the video while it's recording the screen. Then once it's done, it kind of carries me over to an editor where I would edit the Screenflow, and then once I've edited it, export it and throw it back into Final Cut. But whilst I'm recording some of the content in Screenflow, typically would spend some time kind of editing the silent spots in there or speed up. So I'm not sure if they have XML. I'm kind of just opening it up right now. See if they afford that. Maybe I could.
So when you have these videos recorded, right, is the screen and the camera recorded separately? And do they just is that MP4 or is that saved on disk, or does it import directly in a proprietary format in their timeline?
I think it's saved. I think it saves in a once I've edited it in Screenflow, it saves as a .mov file or a MP4
one file.
I can decide what I want depending on the type of video that is exported. export it?
So one solution that I don't know about Screenflow, I'll have to check again, but one solution we recommend to customers is by using the free version of DaVinci Resolve. So if it's completely free to use, you can just download it. And once you're done with Screenflow recordings, and once you have that stuff, you can just like get it into DaVinci Resolve and use our integration. So we have the DaVinci Resolve extension, which you can just use directly. It's free to use. So DaVinci is a free software, so you don't have to buy anything. But the silence detection and the editing part, you can just get done in DaVinci Resolve, and then you can maybe export as an MP4. You can do a lossless export where you can keep all of your high quality encoding. If you want to edit in DaVinci, you can do that, or you want to bring it back into Screenflow, you can also do that.
Oh, well, I actually use another NLE. I use Final Cut.
Great, then we have Final Cut support, right?
Yeah.
Is there a reason why? Have you tried TimeBolt's recorder?
I have not.
Damn. See, I'm so sorry for not missed.
No, that was a feature actually.
No, here, I'll show you real quick, okay?
Just before that, I'm linking a video in the description. This is Brad Vest's Final Cut Pro video. So for multiple files, if you want to use Final Cut Pro with TimeBolt, you can check out this video. He has like made an entire tutorial of how to use Final Cut Pro with TimeBolt.
Yeah, in fact, I did that. That was one of the incentives, the videos that got me to kind of click buy. I looked at Brad's video, Leslie Samuel's video. Yeah.
No issues. Okay, I'm just looking for issues right now.
Yeah.
I'm just looking for problems.
We're gonna show you a way not to have issues with anything.
Right.
We've got quick video messaging now inside TimeBolt. We're able to send a watchable link, okay, in less time than it takes to capture live. That's a game changer. I'm sorry you missed that. See the standard small thing here? You basically just hit start recording.
He'd probably want the full.
I know I bet you he'll want both. Okay, I guarantee you he'll want both. Making courses, it's not just. I'm sure you're used to making videos to explain yourself versus so. This right here, you can do standard, quick and small, or high quality. What you would just do if you were shooting your videos, you'd do high quality. I can basically, if I wanted to get fancy, and I have before, I can pipe in OBS through as a video port and change my background to whatever. If I wanted to, you probably wouldn't even have to worry about it. You got a nice place, so you can move this around. You can make this into a little tiny thumbnail. Again, once you stop talking and then start talking in the video, it will just go from a thumbnail to full screen, a thumbnail. You know what I'm saying? You control when video's on and off by when you talk.
When I'm silent, it's going to full screen the screen or my video.
You determine that. You could just, the key is that when you're recording with TimeBolt, if you just stop talking and then switch, if I'm doing a keynote, I just stop talking. I'm going to find out where I'm at. I'm going to hit full screen and then I'll start talking again. All that time didn't even happen when you were recording.
It's going to be read in TimeBolt.
Because now watch and hit stop recording. And this happens with both small and large. Okay. It doesn't matter what size. You just save the video. And this auto pushes into TimeBolt. You don't have to do anything. When you do the small file size, so the reason I'm showing you this, because there's when you record native on your computer, you're going to end up with, you're talking for 3.5 minutes, 150 megabit, 200 megabit size file. Well, if you're uploading to YouTube, that's a great thing, right? It's high quality stuff. Auto pushes into TimeBolt. And here's our conversation that we just had. What I do for a quick video, I throw some turbo mode on it. I don't know if you've heard of that, but it allows you to basically talk faster than real life. And I usually put this, if I'm sending it to like a friend or something, or a colleague, put this at 1.4, render and create a public link. In less time than it takes to shoot live, you are going to get a link to a watchable video. I could also render that right to my computer, and it's, instead of 150 megabit size file, it's 10, right? So that I can upload to Slack, that I can put in a body of an email if I wanted to, or there's places that you can't upload a file to. But check this out. I hit copy, I can copy this link, or I can just open it right here.
So this doesn't take any space on my computer, or it's just there. I can download it.
Well, it's there for you to send a link.
Oh,
it's just like if you recorded on a Loom, you could have a video file or a link, but just like with a Ring doorbell camera, this is just an option. You absolutely can just I can actually add the render queue and start rendering. Okay. And it'll just put that link
I got both
on local disk.
and that'll save it. That goes with high quality video as well. Quinston, are we limited to somebody hits, is it 30 frames per second, or are we recording native?
Yeah, we have it 30 right now, but we can change it if customers require. Yeah, we can change it if customers require 60 frames per second. We can do that.
I
actually recorded 30, so 30 is.
Oh, wow. Okay. All right. That's interesting. I don't know why one of our other affiliates had said something about recording at 60 frames per second.
Dylan.
Final Cut.
Oh, Final Cut, bro. I don't know. I don't see the need, since I do more talking head, not a lot of movement. So for my needs, 60 is just
perfect. I don't know if you've ever used Umcheck yourself before you wreck yourself, right? click this. Are the tutorials you're doing, are they scripted or unscripted?
Most of the tutorials are scripted.
Some are scripted. Well, then you're not going to have too much of a need for Umcheck, but this is something like, do you ever send just quick video messages?
I do. And there's lots of
well, this is going to be one tool that I just keep it open on my computer. I keep TimeBolt open on my computer because I'm starting to communicate so much with video now that I've got this capability. So basically,
link is potentially going to save me a subscription with Loom, because I use Loom. I pay for it. This is pretty cool. I usually send some of my students just like maybe like minute, 3 minutes, even less video to just show them how to use particular software. So this is big.
Yes, sir.
Michael, this is TJ. It's nice to meet you, but I ran into the same boat working with Doug and Quinston. When they dropped this video thing on, I said goodbye to Loom as well.
Yeah, this is amazing. I'm really
That's awesome. And the goal here that we're telling people is like, you could literally not edit the video. You just get on camera and talk, because now what a lot of people don't understand is when you cut out the stuff like the dead air and the mistakes and the random ums and ahs, you don't hate the sound of your voice anymore. You begin to look like the video that you actually watch on YouTube. So there's not this big delta between the two, and you begin to get more confidence in yourself with talking on camera within 3 clicks. Okay. Like all that was automated. This is Umcheck. You can do unique word tick phrases. This is a list that comes pre-populated in Umcheck. But what you got is where you've got connector words and filler words that really get accurate cuts. These are all combined. Okay. And there's like the cut, slicing off into sandwiches, split timeline, turn off the words, and all your ums and ahs are out of here as well. Then that's when you go and send a quick watchable link or render to your computer. The ability, just remember, like if you're teaching people how to make these videos, the 2 keys that you want to know are B and O. Okay. And I put this at 1.5x to preview super fast. If I'm on this, if let's say we're here, I didn't like what I just heard. Instead of having to go back and then go, okay, here, I'm going to use a mouse to do that. Right. As you're perusing through, I'm like, I didn't like that. And it back cuts what you just watched. Okay. And if you don't like what you're currently on, you hit O. That turns off your current scene. So B and O, like legitimately, those are the 2 keys you need to know how to just sculpt the perfect recording if that's what you want to do. Right. And you can do all that and preview and cut a perfectly sculpted recording in less time than it takes to shoot live. And that's kind of the big innovation. And we hope that gets newer editors onto starting to edit video as well, because they don't have to be ashamed of how they sound.
Oh, I'm really intrigued. So I'm going to play around with this. Hopefully have a review video out on YouTube once I get a little bit more familiar with it. Just to clarify, so B is a cut and O switches it off.
Back cut. Think of back cut and on off.
It's called back cut, but it's not a cut. It just turns off the scene. So let's say you are on the current scene, you're on one green part, and the previous green part you don't want, right? You press B, the previous green part gets turned off. So we call it back cut because it sounds cool.
Check back cut turbo mode. We got
I thought you would get confused because you would think it's a split. It's not a split. It just like turns off the previous green part. Yeah. So if you wanted to see, Doug, can you show him where the shortcuts are, the shortcut list? Because we have a description of all the shortcuts in that.
Right here are our keyboard shortcuts. I use the acronym SLOP BMX. Okay. X doesn't do anything. It just is something that we all know about bikes, right? SLOP BMX. And that comes down to S splits the timeline. Like if I'm here, you can see in the timeline, I hit S, you see a little cut happens right there. Yeah. S. Oh, yeah, I usually go back. So if I go like, so let's say I want to get rid of this word, I hit S, and then I can hit the B key because it back cuts that, right? And that turns that off. L increases the speed of the playhead just like you would. But you put this at 1.5x so that it just defaults to 1.5 because you're always, there's no point in editing at real speed. And then O turns scenes on or off that we had talked about. And then P is punch. So you're actually able to punch in and out different scenes. Alt Option plus arrow keys allow you to move around. So if I was doing a talking head video, obviously that's not the best perspective. Here, that's going to be about as much as I can like zoom in without cutting off the top of my head, right? What you can do over here based on what you're punching in on. If it's a screen, you want to just leave it at like 125, 175. Here, if you're just doing a talking head, I can do something like I customize the amount of punch value that I do, like 1.8, 1.15, and then 1.20. When I come back here, punch values aren't as drastic, but it still happens, right? So that's how you SLOP slop, and then there's BM. What the B does, the back cut, and now M is for markers, and you're able to. The other big thing, you're putting this stuff up on YouTube. We are in these workflows. They're getting very close to being done. Quincy, I've got the YouTube. This stuff's being designed right now because all of this stuff is in detail in these workflows. But with markers, this is the other big thing that I would recommend. It's going to save you at least the amount of time it's the length of the video. You're going to go in and right click. It's the only thing that you actually use like your mouse or your pad. This is chapter 1 at a mark cut because you have context. You're listening for your content, right? This is chapter 2. So by the time you end up at the end over here, we'll just do chapter 3. So by the time you end up over here and you're done with the video and you've got some really detailed chapter markers, you go download markers text file. And what this is, copy paste chapter markers for YouTube. This just copies and pastes right into the description of YouTube.
Wow.
No one has this. No, there's no other editor with this. So that just immediately saves you the time of going back and trying to re-listen and re-remember what was important and capture. Our goal is you get through this timeline on one pass, right? And by the time you get through this timeline, you either have a video that's ready to upload to YouTube, okay, because you captured all the action on your screen, or you're exporting into Final Cut Pro to add some depth. You're not adding time and you're not taking away time because all your cut work was done in TimeBolt because it's better and it's faster.
I agree with Nicholas. That's a game changer. Because usually what I do, my workflow is that I go into Final Cut, and once it's I add my markers in Final Cut, and then I'll just go back. Okay, this is where I spoke about, this particular feature, or this was the intro, this was the outro, this is where I pitch my course in my YouTube video. And so, yeah, this is going to be game changing for sure. I'm excited to use this, man.
Fantastic. Let's see. I'd like to send you. I'm gonna go ahead and send you our beta version here. We're getting into video messaging, and I want to make sure. I believe this is a huge innovation. I use videos so much more now. And it's not because TimeBolt's my software. It is literally because it saves me time explaining complex design related stuff, and it's a courteous thing on the other end. So we're working to make sure we got the proper messaging, and it's not just something we're like, oh yeah, hey, we've got capture now, right? It's something more substantive.
Yeah, Doug, one of the things that I wanted to bring up is that this part is huge. And let me give you an example. I was running into a problem. I'm old school. I ran into a problem with one of my vendors, and I wrote them like a 8-paragraph email. And the woman replied with a video, Loom, and sent it to me, and I watched it for a minute and 20 seconds, and I came back and I'm like, well, this is so stupid. Why did I spend all that time writing this thing out? So with this part here, I could, if I want to send something out real quick, or if I have like a question, I could just talk to them like we are doing now, or I could share my screen. This is that I'm probleming. I saw that about 10 months ago when this woman did it to me. And what you're saying right now is this is the way to do it, because you can do everything within the capture. Even when I'm doing this is wrong or this is right, and I'm explaining something, I can still use Umcheck to take care of cleaning it up and everything. But this part is a game changer. One of the things I wanted to bring up to you as well is that there's certain applications that companies use to open up problem tickets. You guys have your own system. But the system that I saw was before is like you can fill it out. Okay, this is TJ. Here's my email address. Here's the problem. But they had a button on the bottom of the thing that says, give us a Loom video. Well, guess what? Give me a TimeBolt video. Give me a video of explaining the situation so you don't have to write a 20-page presentation on what the problem is and it gets resolved with a minute video that the person replies back to. That's huge. And like you said, things are coming back with doing things in video a lot more than we are writing and stuff. So just my thoughts.
No, that's a good point. We solved our own support problem with this, because once we release it in our support page, it is, hey, we've got to see visually, like somebody will be like, hey, we got an error, and they'll just send me that, or like write an 8-paragraph and I still have no concept of, hey, did you just kind of use the decibel levels right? Or did you actually have audio associated with this? Like, we can't, there's so much that you have to see. And we would have to tell people, oh, go shoot a video of your 150 megs or create this Loom and then upload it to a shareable web server and then put the link in, because you can't, with our support system, you can't, like, I have all the tools on the admin side. That's what was really surprising. I have all the tools on the admin side to make notes and send videos, but on the user side, it's just a form. They're not wanting to store any videos or uploads or files. So it's blank. So now we solved our own problem when it comes to support tickets. That's a good point. Nick,
yeah.
Nick, we haven't had a chance to talk yet. Was there anything in particular we could help with? Or just wanted
podcast interviews, and I'm asking a question because I don't know if this is possible, if this is something that TimeBolt can actually do. When I download my files out of Riverside, I'm getting 2 different video files. If I go try to chop that up with TimeBolt on my video, I'm going to leave no space for my guest. And then likewise, if I chop out my guest, I'm leaving no space for me. Is there any way, aside from like throwing it into an editor, finding them, like synchronizing them, getting them all tight, and then exporting and re-putting it back into TimeBolt, still take advantage of that? I know we're using 2 different video files. That might not be possible.
Yeah. So one thing you can do is you can, instead of rendering the video again, you can just render the audio and put the audio file in there. The WAV file will be much faster. You don't have to render the whole thing again. You can just like combine the 2 videos, like in the timeline in Premiere Pro, export a MP3 file or a WAV file. I recommend a WAV file file because MP3 files could have some padding at the start usually. So that might like mess up the timing. So I'll say a WAV file and then take that WAV file because now that WAV file will have both the speaker and your sound. And then that file you can put into TimeBolt and that will give you like the JSON file, which you can then use on both the files.
That makes sense. Yeah. It's because you're going to have to put it in a Premiere Pro or wherever anyway to start doing all your fine tuning. So you just export the WAV file out of it.
Correct. So WAV file is much faster. It'll be done in like seconds.
I think I saw a video in Brad West's video. He actually did that. He used the audio, then he put it back in. He uses Final Cut. I don't know if you're using. He used a multicam editor, which you might be doing as well, and then he used the cut audio to kind of edit.
The concept is the same. Different NLEs, but same concept.
Okay, that I was thinking about that, especially like dealing with podcast often. Like, how does this play into TimeBolt?
That's why
video files.
That's why you're here to find the nooks and crannies that we need to fix.
The Riverside. No, that's all about Riverside. I think one of our competitors just partnered or acquired or some other type of acquisition.
The script just bought Squadcast.
Oh yeah, the Squadcast.
and they do like the big thing is the local recording because of the quality, right? And that's an interesting niche. The
dumb thing about all of that is the only thing that changes is you're recording in Squadcast and then it pushes the video file and audio over into Descript. Whereas you can be in Riverside, when you get done recording, there's a button that says send to Descript and you just send it to Descript. I think the only advantage you might have is the price point. Instead of paying for two platforms, you're paying for one. But I think Riverside is also on the cheaper side compared to something like Squadcast. So I'm interested to see how it plays out because I think it's working, but I don't think finished rolling it out yet.
So there's a button in Riverside.
You can literally send it from Riverside. Like as soon as you're done recording, you can send it from Riverside to Premiere or to Descript, or which is kind of interesting because they have their own text-based editor now. And then
I'm trying to figure out though, like when you send it to Descript, is it sending two different files into Descript and they're getting lined up in Descript? They're having the same.
I don't know. That should happen, right?
I'm not
or
sure.
Is it
I honestly don't use it. Descript, so I'm not sure how it
combines them.
does it.
Hell, we'll reach out. Like we're at a point we can reach out to who we want. I mean, we've done that in the past.
They produce a single track version of it. Like you can download either your guest and your host video file separately, which is what I usually do because it's the higher quality, or you can download a stitched together video that's just one track. I think that's probably what they're pushing over, but I haven't been able to.
But then when you have one track, how does it switch between the videos of the guest and the interview?
They have a couple different options. Like they have one that's like side by side. There's one where you can stack them. They have like an AI speaker view. So whoever's talking, like that's the camera it switches to. So if Quinson's talking, it switches to him. If I start talking, it switches to me, and it like picks it up. It's not perfect, but it's nifty.
Squadcast and Riverside are their features the same or literally the same product?
I think with the acquisition now, it kind of levels the playing field for Squadcast. Now that they have like the editing side of it, Squadcast at the time was literally. It used to just be audio. And then like a year or two ago, they introduced video into it. And now Riverside's just been kind of running with it and decided to team up and take them on.
Yeah, that's something that we hope to uncover as we're working through that. It's almost like they've created a new category, just like we're doing shorts and Zoom and gaming, right? Like those are very specific workflows for us. It's almost like these remote podcasts and vlogs where Zoom, it's not like a quick meeting that you're having to purposely made to distribute on YouTube. So
one question that comes to mind is like, I don't know if everybody uses online editors to edit podcasts, because as far as I understand, a lot of podcasts are professionally edited by professional video editors, right? So I don't know if they're using online editors to do it. Or
Descript is huge. That's
so like who is the customer then for Descript? I'm kind of confused sometimes, because whenever I see a YouTuber, he has a team of video editors, right? I don't think they're pushing it into Descript because they're probably just using Final Cut Pro. Even Premiere Pro is coming out with its own version of Descript. It's called podcast.adobe. That's a completely new product that even Adobe is launching, which is going to cannibalize its own Premiere Pro market.
You are serving two different markets there. Yeah. The Descript audience is definitely like the solo person doing it on their own. They don't have the money to hire a team of editors or anything like that. Like they're just trying to create the best possible product they can on their own, and they might not have any kind of editing experience at all. So a text-based editor for them is really simple. I can just delete out words and then it disappears. I think once you get into like the more enterprise or teams of people, yeah, you're right. Like if I'm the host of that show, like I'm just going to hand it to my editors and they're going to figure it out for me.
And it's scripted versus unscripted content. And I think with like Descript, it's more like if you're a lawyer, right? And you're wanting to give a podcast or make a vlog about a specific law, and you go through and you're saying your scripted content, and you forget that, I forgot a penal code section. I want to be able to go back because I'm only going to make this one video for the month. You know what I'm saying? Like the scale and the volume of the video you make, probably like down to one video. So you can learn, I want to overdub my voice because it's worth it for me not to go back and make a new video. I think that's kind of the use case.
That's a nice feature.
Yeah. But as soon as you get away from the unscripted, from the scripted realm, those types of editors, by looking at it, they don't make as much sense to use. and it just kind of falls apart. That's what I've been told by everyone I've talked to, why they would use the script. Like we were talking about how to TimeBolt, how to give them the visual waypoints. That is something like they like the ability to see the text coming down the screen. And
similar to our conversation the other day, Doug, like I think having the visual reference, because sometimes on the timeline, I'm so far out that I can't see the previous clip. And I know I've said today we're going to be talking about like 5 times because I screwed up every time, like being able to go back and see how many times I said, and today we're talking about, so I can just click B 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and keep going. Or even if you, maybe when you delete it, something that Riverside actually implemented, if you get rid of the text, puts a strike through it. So you could potentially have like a strike through of all the sections that were eliminated or removed in red. That way you have a good clear visual while you're doing it. You're not having to scroll back and forth through the timeline if it's quite a ways back or back forward. Or
I have another, I do have a question about, I'm still thinking before we release the watchable, the watchable technology, I believe that it is definitely worth it to us to limit the quality of video that goes up on the server. Like being able to upload a full HD video and us paying for streaming for Lord only knows what type of content is, and the fact that you can just drop your video into, I'm all about making rules with this because it's its own thing. The ability to like do a 4K video inside TimeBolt and then upload that to a private link. We could be looking at porn there. Like there could be all types of content that we just didn't assume is going to be up there, because I think we could control the rules better if possible. All right, Nick, I'll see you we're talking in an hour, aren't we?
I sent you an email as well, just like a quick run through,
but just like I would still limit this. Like the only way that you can send a watchable link is if you record quick and fast in TimeBolt with that option. That's the only way. Like you can't, if you forget to send a watchable link and instead you saved it, like you shouldn't be able to go back and drop in the TimeBolt and send it up. Like I'm thinking it's one workflow, and the only way to send a link is you have to do quick and fast, and then that's the only time that option is available. I don't know if that's possible to control inside TimeBolt.
We'll figure it out. I don't know.
But no, I just with my experience with it and the questions that we get back from the affiliates, I think providing parameters even like enhances the feature itself. Like this is what it's for. It's a quick.
I had a question before we jump. It's a weird one, but is there a way within TimeBolt to bring in, let's say I have 5 AVI files and I want to bring all 5 of them into TimeBolt in one shot, and then they bring it, you guys bring it in, and then I have the video there, and I could do all the stuff I want to do with it, then drop it off into an MP4 file. Handbrake supposedly has that option, but it doesn't work. I drop in 30 files and stuff, and it just ends up choking, and it can't do it.
We don't have we've got a batch editing for like say you're like, this is big in education where I had like 5 different classrooms that are like an hour and a half long, and he's like, okay, I want to just be able to take all 5 classrooms, drop them in there, and it'll just remove the silence based on whatever previous settings that you had before. It'll use those settings and then render those videos out and kick it out. Right? We don't do XML or anything like that, so there's no way to join videos together. Okay. Or sequentially go one after the other. Good. Okay, TJ, awesome. Thank you so much for joining us. Your input, Quincy, you good?
Yeah, we're good.
Awesome. Well, that's it for TimeBolt Office Hours on August 17th. Don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe, and of course hit the notification bell if you want to know when we go live, which is never. And we're out of time. Thank you.
Thank you guys. Bye-bye. Take care.
Bye.
Take care, everyone. Thanks for this.